Hey, I think everyone out there knows we just had a rally in Washington, D.C. This past Saturday, November the 2nd. Now, I know a lot of us couldn't make it. A lot of us live on the opposite coast of where this thing is being held. And I don't fault anyone out there for not driving completely across the country to go to a political rally. I can't hold that against you. Now, if there's one being held in your state and you don't go, well, then I hold that against you a little bit. If you can get there by car in less than a day, I kind of hold it against you. But if you can't, don't worry. I'm not picking on you in this video. I'm going to try not to pick on anybody. I'll warn you up front. This video, this rant, is going to be more of a cathartic thing for me than it is an educational thing for you. It's going to be working through some mixed emotions. Like most people who couldn't go, I was eagerly awaiting to see the pictures of what happened, videos from what happened, etc. I wanted to see this grand thing take place, this big strike against the anti-gunners. And after I came home and I started scrolling through the feeds, instead of seeing this grand big rally, this big political movement, I saw this. And I was very disappointed. Very, very disappointed. This is by no means a big crowd, especially when you consider that we had a couple of speakers that if they had just managed to motivate like 0.5% of their rabid loyal fan base to come actually listen to them speak, we would have had tens of thousands of people there. I know some people have estimated this crowd at up to 2,000 people. I think they're using a little bit of an attrition method there by saying, like 2,000 people came and went based on crowd size and how many people usually come and go over the course of a certain amount of time. Don't think they're trying to say 2,000 people were ever standing in one place, because that's not 2,000 people standing there. But even if it had been 2,000 people, let's be generous and say it is 2,000 people. The very first ever March for Life got like 20 to 25,000 people. So that gives you an idea right there of how many people we actually got. And current movements like the pro-life, the pro-choice, Black Lives Matters even, they get tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people to show up. So you could see where I was a little disappointed. Plus, I was a little disappointed because I had just been standing in the cold all day gathering initiative on a ballot or signatures on an initiative ballot. So I wasn't in the best mood, not because of standing out in the cold collecting signatures, but because I put a picture on Instagram and I got bullied online by a bunch of mean girl gun owners who made fun of my ratty tennis shoes. So I had that going for me that day. I was a little upset already. And then I saw the pictures and I was, like I said, disappointed. Now, one picture I saw that I wasn't disappointed in was the picture of the speakers. Love the fact that we had a diverse group speaking. That was freaking awesome. I wouldn't have cared if there'd been, as many people on stage as there was in the crowd. I still would have been happy about the people we had on stage speaking. Well, most of them anyway. I was like same way when I was at the Gun Rights Policy Conference. We had people of different colors, creeds, religions, sexual orientations, genders, not just different sexes and different colors. We had all kinds of mix. Based on these two things I've been to recently, the Gun Rights Policy Conference and seeing the speakers at this rally, we are like one armed drag queen and a Taiwanese ladyboy with a shotgun away from having like total representation on the stage. And that is a very positive. I'm trying to focus a little bit on that right now. But when it comes to just the people who showed up, I was a little upset. You got to remember, D.C. is very central. There are cities around D.C. that are very pro-gun areas that have more people in that city than I have in our state here, than we have here in the state of Washington, period. We can get more people at a rally. In fact, the rally in Oregon 2 years ago was bigger than this national rally. That kind of irritates me. And it irritates me that 50,000 people showed up for a baseball team that just won the World Series. Just 50,000 local fans. Now, a lot of people will try to say, well, yeah, but those people showing up made it hard for the gun rights people to show up because of mass transit and parking. If they can fucking show up for the parade, I would think most people would show up for the Second Amendment. And once again, I'm trying not to chew out anybody here. But then again, I'm also not your girlfriend. I'm not here to go, oh, you're so big. I'm not here to stroke your fucking egos or make you feel good about what you did. I think most of the people that did show up, I know a lot of people are like, I'd rather focus on the people who did show up. The people who did show up are responsible adults who did something because they knew it was the right thing to do. I don't think they need their dick stroked because of it. I think we're all mature adults and we know why we showed up and we know we did the right thing or whatever when we show up at something like a rally, etc. We don't need to be thanked. I think we all know why we're there, be it this rally, another rally, whatever. be it out gathering signatures, whatever we're doing, we don't need, like I said, we don't need our ego stroked or anything else. So but I'm trying not to focus on the people who didn't show. I'm trying not to just label them a bunch of lazy, big mouth bastards. Because if we had half as many people show up at that rally as claim that they're going to show up and bear arms against the government in a civil war when it comes, then we would have had that place full. But once again, also if we had as many Navy SEALs ever as we have currently that are ex-Navy SEALs on the internet, well, then the Navy SEALs would have been the largest standing army in the world. So you can't really trust everything you see on the internet or hear on the internet. But digressing here a little bit. The thing I want to mainly talk about this rally is not just the fact that I was disappointed in it. It happens. When you're as involved in this stuff and you live it every day like I do and some other people do, it's easy to get discouraged. It really is. That's why I'm glad there's so many of us and we're so diverse, because one of us can be bitchy and discouraged while the other one's like, woohoo, I'm hitting my high stroke. So we feed off each other and kind of, make everybody feel like things will work out. But right now, like I said, I was disappointed. But I'm trying to see the brighter side of it too. I want to look at this rally of, instead of just looking at the negatives of it, like saying, oh, no one showed up and blah, blah, blah. But maybe we're fighting the wrong way. Maybe we're stuck in old ideas. Now, I know I like the rallies and everything. I like big numbers because politicians are also stuck in the past and they think that that's a big indication of things. But should we be catering to the politicians, or should we be moving with the times? Do we need big rallies? I go to the rallies purely for the association, the camaraderie. I don't go to listen to the speakers. They got very little to say I need to hear. Or that I can't hear on their video on YouTube in the comfort of my own home, not standing in a cold, wet field. So, do we need the rallies? Would it be better to just throw occasional get-togethers in our state and leave the political aspect to social media and the court fights, etc.? Supporting organizations like the GOA, the Second Amendment Foundation, like we're doing here in Washington to fight 1639. Making sure we support them, making sure we support the channels on social media that are keeping awareness out there, trying to bring new people in and not just bring new people in, but bring new people in with the right idea about the Second Amendment. I don't want a bunch of new FUDs fucking flowing in, and we'll just have a bunch of bad laws. So should we be focusing on those things instead of rallies? Like I say, I'm stuck in the old ways. I'm fucking old. I like rallies. I like the fact we can make people show up, but is that a thing anymore? And is the reason people aren't showing up, is it because they are too lazy, or is it because they just don't see rallies as beneficial? They would rather watch their favorite YouTube videos online, find out what's going on, become active on social media, become supportive of people who are active in social media, learn what groups to donate to, what fights to donate to, because we keep winning fight after fight after fight in the courts. That's been our biggest winning thing so far, because the Second Amendment is a thing. That's another reason why I think a lot of people are not as motivated to fight. They're not as motivated to get out there and stand in that muddy field, because they know we're right. We have history on our side. When has a society ever been disarmed and that led to good things? Never. It leads to usually some pretty bad things. We also have the law on our side, the Constitution on our side. The Second Amendment is a thing. As much as a lot of anti-gunners would like to think it is not a thing, it is a thing. And a lot of people think it's a thing, and it's a thing they're not going to overcome. Yeah, sure, there's some justices out there, even Scalia, who say, well, there's some reasonable restrictions. But lately, when they've been stepping over the lines, we've been winning in the courts. They've been getting shoved back. And every time we win, every time they get shoved back, that sets a precedent of, yeah, they're overstepping. And it gets us a little closer to shoving them all the way back. Now, I would love to see, instead of us just not losing rights, I would love to see us gathering rights back. I'd like to get the rights back we had in 1967, at least. So that's what I want to see happen. Or 1965. Let's just go back a couple years further just to make sure. I would like to see that. But what do people out there think? Like I say, I've been self-analyzing here and giving myself a therapy session here. What do you think? Was what happened in Washington, D.C., was that a good first step, or was it just a misstep? Was it something we don't need to do again? Is it something we need to do and try to do better? Or is it worth the risk? Is it worth the risk of having something that doesn't look very successful? And I'm sorry, this doesn't look successful. When you see on the news giant crowds of people flooding the streets, And then you see this little group that's in a semicircle around some speakers, and they're barely taking up the tiny little portion of the center of the field. It doesn't look good. It can do more harm than good. I'm wondering in today's age, though, will it really do any harm? Will anyone even pay attention? Because more people are so focused on social media and the courts. But what do you all think? First step, misstep, what is it? How do we need to fight? How do we need to motivate people? Are people actually motivated? They're just fighting in a different way? And do we need to start adjusting to where we're all fighting that way? Or is the answer somewhere in the middle? Like I said, there's some really good things about this. The diversity of our speakers, the people that are getting involved in the Second Amendment, the passion that I see from people behind the scenes. And passion just doesn't mean like, yoo-hoo, you go girl, you're doing great. That's not passion. That's just blowing smoke up people's ass sometimes. I understand some people who do that from a completely honest perspective. Like last night, and I had a conversation with G-Webs, a yelling match during one of our videos. And don't worry, Mommy and Daddy aren't getting divorced. We've yelled at each other millions of times before. That's an exaggeration, and it's only been probably a few thousand. But when you respect each other and you know each other very well, you can disagree strongly with each other. But I know some people come from that very positive mindset because they actually have that very positive mindset. I know I do that sometimes. I'm like, woohoo, that was awesome today. When a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't like what they said and I don't like what happened, blah, blah, blah. And that's why I said, it's why we balance out. Some are down, some are up, some are up, some are down. That's part of any group. But what do you all think? Is this a sign that we're starting something we need to get better at, or is it a sign that we need to go a different route? There's no question, like I say, we've been winning a lot of things. A lot of things. I think we are far better off now than we were like in 1995. Believe it or not. But we're going to have to keep fighting and we have to keep organizing because the other side is getting more organized and better at fighting. I don't know if we're doing that. So what do you think? What do we need to do? What should be our next steps? What did you take from this rally November 2nd at the Capitol? Did you take away positive things, negative things, or a mix? Let us know below what you actually think. Now, don't just get on there and bitch about this video and like, I don't like what you think. Who cares if you like what I think? Let's hear what you think about the actual situation. If you just want to get pissed about a video, wait till tomorrow. My video tomorrow will piss you off way more than this one, I guarantee it. You can bitch then. But for now, let's hear what people think. Like I said, what do we need to do next? How do we need to fight? How are we going to continue to win the war for our rights?